I want to go recap the World Cup first of all. And based upon that is the fact of the matter that Germany, they are world champions. Major props, Dennis Schroeder. He wins MVP. And Germany wins the World Cup for basketball. Absolutely phenomenal. They defeat Serbia in that game, 83-77. Major props. The game is growing. Serbia, one heck of a run. I mean, we got to give it up for Serbia because they made it to the championship game of the World Cup without the best player in all the world, and Nikola Jokic. Why do I emphasize that? Because, well, that's impressive, yes. But let's talk about Team USA. Once again, they do not medal in the World Cup. Now, they have won their fair share of Olympics. They have not lost in many, many years in the Olympics. But they have now lost, not medaled. They didn't get first, second, or third in back-to-back World Cups. That is a problem. And a lot of people say, okay, well, this was not our A team. We did not have our superstar players out there. Are you really going to tell me with a straight face that we did not have the most talented roster out there? I get we did not have Kevin Durant, we did not have Steph Curry, we did not have LeBron James, we did not have these guys. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to tell me that there was a team out there in the World Cup that was more talented than them. Anthony Edwards is an all-star. Tyrese Halliburton is an all-star. Brandon Ingram is an all-star. Jaren Jackson is the Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA, and he is an all-star. Paolo Banchero, he is an all-star in the future. He was the Rookie of the Year this past season. Austin Reeves is a starter on a team that went to the conference finals this past year. We're going to act like this team was not better, more talented than anyone else? Yeah, sure. We go add in LeBron James, Kevin Durant and company. Are we a better roster? Of course. Don't get that mistaken. But we cannot sit up here and act like this Team USA team went out here and was just so talent depleted compared to every other country. Your whole roster was NBA players. There is no excuse not to win gold. Now, I understand, yes, this team just came together. A lot of these countries are built together for a long-standing period of time, and we've got rosters that come together, and they've been building for a few years to build this roster up. But what we've got right now in Team USA is a country that has lots of talent that should be able to win. I don't care how many years they've been together or whatnot. And they had the talent to win. But you go into Canada, and this is what really bothers me, because this game, for anyone that stayed up and watched it, I was up and watching it. First of all, Mikal Bridges, what heck of a play there. Absolutely perfectly executed. I don't know if you could execute being down by 4 in under 10 seconds better than what he did in that play. Phenomenal. You go to overtime, but you end up losing 127-118 to Canada. And I talked about Canada before. I said they're coming and they're special. They don't have more talent than Team USA has right now or ever. But they win 127-118. And for those that watch the game, I will say this, what we don't talk about enough is that, yes, the NBA game and the European international game that you play with the rules for the World Cup is vastly different. The three-point line is different. The shot clock is different. The three-point line is different. The goaltending rule is different. The flow of the game, the style of play is much, much different. It suits a better play style to play the four quarters offense, where you have a big man that you run it through, and so on and so forth. Okay, USA does not have a big man. I'm going to address that in a second. But when you played Canada, we were both playing small ball. It was very close to NBA style games that you could get in EuroLeague basketball. Both teams were playing NBA style guys. They both had teams in there in the stretch parts of the game where the tallest guy out there was 6'7", 6'8". There were guys out there, and that was like Dwight Powell, and even he came out of the game at one point. They were running countless guards and a small ball offense. That was the flow of the game. And they beat us. This was not a situation where they just had this big man like we had against some of these other countries, that their big men just depleted us and destroyed us on the glass, rebounding in the paint. No, that is not what happened in that game. USA straight up lost playing their brand of basketball pretty much against Canada. Dillon Brooks had 39 points on them. And I think Dillon Brooks gets a lot more hate than he deserves. I actually like him as a player. I think he's a legitimate guy. I have no problem with what he does. Maybe he goes a little bit too far at times, but it's his role. It's what gets his money for himself. But he's not better than Mikal Bridges. He's not better than Anthony Edwards. For him to lead the team, lead the entire game with 39 points, Shea played absolutely phenomenal. He showed up and showed out. The entire team looked absolutely special. RJ Barrett had a great game. There's no excuse for Team USA not to win that game and not to medal and get gold in this competition. So what's the problem with Team USA then? A lot of people ask. Well, when we talk about the competition, what I was originally going to say was this. Because when we play these European teams, the fact is that America does not produce the best big men. Can we make this clear right now? Because a lot of people keep looking at the guard and put emphasis on these guards. And The guards are important, but we have the best guards in the country. Every game we play against, we have the best guards. Don't get that twisted. The problem is with the big men. The United States is not producing very good big men. When we look at the list of potential guys that I would consider for the big men spot in the United States, you have Anthony Davis at number 1, but he's not a 7-footer. And he's more of a power forward than I would say a center. You have Bam Adebayo, who's 6'9", can run center, but he's not a big, grinded out, down low, back to the basket big man. You have Evan Mobley, who is a power forward. You have Jarrett Allen, who's a center at 6'10", 6'11", and you have Nick Claxton, who's about 6'11" as well. Those are your best American big men, in my opinion. And then let me say this, Chet Holmgren, the reason I didn't say him in that group originally was because we haven't seen him play in the NBA yet. I think he's going to be in that group. He is the hope for America, let's be honest. He's a 7-footer. He is more than capable of doing that. Not a big guy in terms of back-to-the-basket guy, but he still is a 7-foot big man for Team USA to have. But he was not healthy and whatnot. We don't have the best big men. The best big man in the world is Nikola Jokic. He's the best player in the world, not American. Joel Embiid, the second best big man in the NBA and one of the best players in the world. He's also currently not from the United States. Now, I know he could potentially play for USA. He is a Cameroon citizen that now has also become citizenship in France and the United States. He'll make a decision within the next year. He's not. Karl Anthony Towns, another one of the top big men in all the NBA. He's not playing for America. Go down the list. Guys like Nurkic, not going to play for the NBA. Valanciunas, not from America. I'm sorry, Nurkic, not from the NBA, not from America. A lot of DeAndre Ayton, he's not from America. You go down this list, there's not a lot of big men in the NBA currently. Al Horford, same thing. The list goes on and on. I'm going to stop there for now because we don't have a lot of big men in the NBA. And when we go and play these international competitions, that is the problem. We do not have big men to compete with them. So that was my original stance I was going to take on this situation. But we fast forward now, and we play Canada, and we get beat against other guards. Dwight Powell did not go and cremate the United States. The guards did. Dylan Brooks did. And that's worrisome to me. The United States still has the best talent. Don't get that twisted. But can we all put it together? And are we going to remain the best in the future? I don't know. Because these other countries are emphasizing talent and growth. Canada went from nothing to something real quickly. They turned up real quick. And we talk about next year in the Olympics, Andrew Wiggins, Jamal Murray, Brandon Clark will be on that roster as long as they all decide to officially play on that team. And guess what else? Shaedon Sharpe, I think he could take a jump and become a star player. Guess what? He'll be on from Canada as there as well. They're going to have a full roster of NBA guys. Australia is going to be very close to having a full roster of NBA guys. France, if they get Joel Embiid, will be a problem. We're talking about big men. Well, guess what? We don't have a 7-footer that can legitimately play right now. Out in France, Joel Embiid, Victor Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert. Yeah, good luck. Nigeria has got legitimate talent. There are lots of countries that are developing talent at a rapid rate right now, and the United States is not one of them in terms of the big men spot. And so we're going to need to figure that out quickly. Because when we look at that game, I think that the only guys that really stood out to me, Anthony Edwards was a superstar. He proved that he's legit. I think he should be on the Olympic team next year. Mikal Bridges, good news for Brooklyn Nets fans. He looks legitimate. I think that, like I said, I never was necessarily doubting. It was more so, what is he truly capable of? We only got a glimpse of half a season. He looks legitimate. He has a chance of playing on the Olympic team next year, I believe. Brunson was pretty solid as well. Nothing against him. And Tyrese Halliburton, he stood out to me a lot. Outside of that, I don't know. Austin Reeves was decent. I thought there was a lot of defense lacking there, but he still was solid. We'll have to figure out how that goes because I don't think it's the truth is this. It's no longer going to be the United States walks out and wipes out everyone that they go play against. No, there's so much talent. The game is growing so rapidly that I don't believe that we're going to be in a situation going forward where the United States just has this upper echelons of talent that far surpasses everybody else. Because the United States is now having to compete against countless other countries that have many NBA players. And so the Olympics next year will be fantastic. There's only a few more spots available, and over the duration of next year, they said they're going to announce in November the next qualifying tournaments to get the final spots for the Olympics out there in Paris, France. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be special. I cannot wait for it. That's where we get good news, though, because this morning, Shams came out and he talked about the news of what Team USA might look like for next year. And this gets good. This gets really good because we have a roster so far of LeBron James heading it, and he's recruiting Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, who pretty much are going to commit. Draymond Green and Anthony Davis are also likely in the mix. They said that Devin Booker, De'Aaron Fox, Damian Lillard, and a couple other guys, I believe, are also in consideration, are considering playing for the team next year. Now, that team looks special. That team looks legitimate. I would like to see Jimmy Butler possibly come out, Kawhi Leonard. We could see what those guys do. Jason Tatum's the other guy that they said is for sure considering. That team looks very good and very special. What if they don't win next year, though? What if the United States has all these guys come out and play, but they don't win? I talked just a second ago about the big man spot. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, so on and so forth. Oh my goodness, they got talent. But I don't hear the big man name really coming up. Anthony Davis is a power forward / center. Yes, he can do that. He's an elite defensive player. I think he can hold his own. But he has to come out of the game at some point. And if you go up against France, who is guarding Victor Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert, and Joel Embiid if that so be the case? That ain't going to be pretty. When you go out and battle Nikola Jokic, that's going to get interesting. So we will see what happens, but I think it's huge news. We could have a new version of I don't know what we're going to call the team right now. Obviously, we have the Dream Team of 92. We got the Redeem Team. What are we going to call this team? I don't know. But if this team does come together, they have a chance of being spectacular. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. And so we'll have to see what ends up unfolding there. But I do believe that at this point in time, we need to emphasize what's going on with Team USA basketball, get them right, and fix this program. Because right now, Grant Hill did not do too bad of a job. And obviously, the first time I saw Rudy Gay tweet out, we need to bring back tryouts for Team USA. It's what historically they've always done. But we'll see. Is Steve Kerr the right coach for this? I don't know. I heard a rumor that potentially Jay Wright, or a speculation, maybe it was just shouting out, maybe this would work. Jay Wright potentially take over as the head coach. I would like that. Obviously, it worked out fantastic having Coach K out there at the helm of it. With Coach Pop, we didn't do good at all in the World Cup last time around. And then we won the gold medal in the Olympics. So we'll see. Is Steve Kerr the right guy for that job? Or do we go turn to a college guy like Jay Wright? Maybe Mark Few. I know he was on the bench. I don't know. We'll have to see what unfolds.